Hello, and welcome to the first year information session. My name is Melissa Burwald, and I'm an academic advisor in the Faculty of Engineering and Applied Science. This session will focus on different topics, such as your academic advising team and how to book an appointment with us, help with understanding our programs, how to balance your life with study, work, and social time, University of Regina Student Services available to you, and so much more. So let's get started. First, a little bit about the degree that you are about to pursue. It has 136 credit hours with 46 classes. All other university degrees have 120 credit hours and usually only 40 classes to be completed in 8 semesters. We have one more full semester than all others and a project startup class that is worth 1 credit hour and to be taken in your 8th term just before your project. Most of our classes are taken in sequence and built on prerequisites. I'll go over more later on how important prerequisites are in this presentation. Your engineering degree has very few electives, so not a lot of wiggle room, not a lot of choices. You have to take what is on the program sheet. While many other university degrees have sometimes half of the degree as elective choices, you do not have this option in engineering. You can complete your degree in as little as 3 years and 8 months, but that's only if you stick to the program and never have to retake a class. I know, life happens, and it's okay to take a little longer. Many students work, some have families, while others just don't want to study 5 classes and 5 labs every semester. And sometimes, although unfortunately, you have to retake a class or 2, which will lengthen your time with us. If you are in the co-op program, you just have to add an extra year to your degree. Let me introduce our advising team. Janice, who has been with us the longest, mostly advises 3rd and 4th year students. She does grad checks and she does all of the timetabling. Gina, she works with students from 1st to 4th year, and she also specializes in academic action, so required to discontinue, must withdraw, and students who are asked to go on probation. I advise all students from 1st to 4th year as well. I specialize in students who wish to study abroad, as well as transfer credits and scholarships. I also do letters of permission. Colleen is our co-op coordinator. She is also a grad student advisor, specializing in electronic systems engineering, as well as software systems engineering. And Christina, she specializes in grad student advising only for all other programs, industrial, environmental, petroleum, and process engineering. Milena is our undergraduate student assistant. She is your first contact for just about everything. She knows the answer, and if she doesn't, she knows where to find the answer. You can contact her by emailing engg@uregina.ca. Don't forget to add your full name and student ID to all email correspondence. So, really, what is an academic advisor? An academic advisor is a teacher. We empower students to take responsibility for your academic success. We are mentors. We work with you to reach your goals, and we guide you to navigate through your post-secondary experience. We are a resource. We serve as a point of contact and refer students to campus services. We're experts. We help students understand the university, its policies and programs and curricular requirements and related learning opportunities. And we are your advocate. We comply with freedom of information and protection of privacy legislation to protect students' privacy and right. And the advisee, that's you. You have responsibilities too. Get to know your advisor and schedule and keep regular appointments with your appropriate advisor. So, for example, if you want to talk about co-op, you go to Colleen. Academic action issues, you would see Gina. And if you have timetabling issues, see Janice. Ask questions. Learn from your advising appointment. Always be open to considering ideas and recommendations made by your advisor. Invest the appropriate time and energy to be a successful student, and that always includes seeing your academic advisor regularly, not just when you're in trouble. It's your responsibility to know important dates and deadlines. When is your registration date? When is the deadline for add drop? Or what are your final exams or your midterm exams? Check all of your email accounts regularly. It's important to check both Regina and your personal Gmail or Hotmail accounts. Accept responsibility for decisions and actions. And please, please never say, "my friend said," or "my friend told me." All advising appointments are case by case. Everyone's situation is different. Here's a little more about academic advising and what we do. Definitely make an appointment if you have concerns about academic planning. Long-term planning is always important. Advisors can help you with building your academic career and keeping you on track. If you run into any kind of difficulty with professors, getting sick, missing an exam, failing a class, pretty much anything, we will help you get through it. You will definitely want to see Gina if you have been put on probation, have received a letter for required to discontinue or must withdraw. She can also advise you with the academic recovery program and its benefits for you. You will want to see Gina as well if you want to file a petition on any academic decision. An LOP is a letter of permission. It is permission for you to take a class in another institution and transfer it back to your degree here. We grant LOPs only if you are in term 8 or 9 and require the class to graduate and it's not offered here at the U of R, or if you're on a co-op work term and you want to study online while you're working. Transfer credits are awarded when a class that you take at another institution is equal to a U of R class. So if you've studied somewhere else before joining us, please see me to get those TCs. You'll definitely want to see Janice when it's time for you to do a grad check. She will make sure that you're not missing anything to graduate. Course substitutions are requested when you have to take a class to fulfill your degree, but it's not offered. You would have to work really closely with your academic advisor and professor to ensure that the substitution you are requesting is actually accepted. Timetabling issues can be a problem, especially when you don't stay on track. So when you're in term 4 and you want to take classes from term 5 or vice versa, this can pose big problems. Try to stay on track. Timetabling issues are not fun, but if you have issues, see Janice. We have had a few engineering students that have studied in other countries. Because our program is so prescriptive, It is absolutely necessary to work with me. We have to figure out classes to be transferred, the best time to go on your degree, and many other little details. It is a long process. So if you want to study in another country, just come and see me early. And finally, co-op and internships. Colleen is our academic advisor who's responsible for all co-op and internships. See her for all of the information you need before, during, and after your work term. And this is how you book an appointment with one of the academic advisors. This is a screenshot of the engineering website homepage. You will see on the right-hand side of the screen, Advising Appointments. You just click there on Advising Appointments. Read over this page for information about our advising services and then scroll all the way down. This slide highlights all of the academic advisors and a reminder of what we do. Don't forget that we all do general academic advising for all students. So if you can't find an appointment booking open for a particular advisor, just find another one who is available. But remember, if you need to discuss something more specific, like transfer credits or co-op, please see the appropriate academic advisor. So click on Book an Appointment. You will then get to this page. Enter the same username and password as you would when you use webmail or U of R courses. After this page, you will get into the booking manager and be able to book a time and a day that is good for you. Here's a little visual showing the difference between high school and university. High school homework usually is only about 2 to 10 hours a week, compared to university, where you are doing 30 to 40 hours of studying and sometimes even more, reading, writing, preparation every week. You can calculate about 3 hours of preparation, reading, and homework for each 1 hour lecture. So 5 classes is 45 hours of preparation, homework, and reading per week. That is a full-time job. And don't forget your labs. They have weekly assignments too. High school class time, you're sitting in class 100 hours per class over 21 weeks compared to 39 hours per class over 13 weeks in university. That is a huge difference. So in university, there is a lot less class time and way more homework. Most engineering classes have labs. You have to treat a lab just like a class because they all have midterms, weekly assignments, and final exams. Some of my students have even said that labs are way more work than the actual class. And remember, if you don't pass the lab, you don't pass the class. Some tips to success is definitely use a planner or a calendar, whether it's digital or the traditional paper. Spend more time on difficult courses and less time on other courses. Break down big projects into smaller ones and study smart, not hard. I'll be talking about studying a little more later on. Throughout your time here, there are going to be some important dates and deadlines which I want to go over. What time is it? It's so important to use your time efficiently. Avoid the cruise and cram study technique, most commonly used in high school, but it doesn't work in university. Adjust to the pace and volume transition. It's fast pace in university. And as I said before, you really do need to have time management planning in order to stay on top of everything. So get out that day planner. Responsibility for effective use of free time. More free time? Then you need to use available time responsibly and ensure that you're allowing enough time for the success of your studies. So remember that 3 hours of homework for 1 hour of lecture time. And deadlines are deadlines. Professors often have percentage penalties for being late and grade implications. This is always listed in the course syllabus. So use your day planner and calendar in order to visualize both deadlines and study portions of your days. Balancing your life is an important part of university. So here are some tips. Get involved with extracurricular activities, intramurals, sports, clubs, groups, and associations. For example, the Regina Engineering Student Society. Make a plan and stick to it. Plan your free time. Plan your homework time. Plan the time that you are going to spend with your family. Schedule in time for everything in your life and stick to it. It's so important to balance your life. Don't think that you have to study all of the time. You will be definitely stressed and burned out. Well, what is the role of a professor? A professor plans and prepares and teaches your lectures, of course. Your professor should grade your assignments in a timely manner and give you back your results as quickly as possible. But don't forget that there may be well over 100 students in your class, and it could take a while. Your professor is your first contact to ask for any additional help about what has been taught. All professors should offer office hours for students to go and get extra assistance. If you cannot make it during their posted office hours, then just give them a quick email and request a time that is good for you both. Many profs are flexible. Profs are a resource. They are your first go-to for any further information that you are needing. They are the expert of the field. And finally, professors are the ones who will give you permission for you to substitute a class or to give you a prerequisite override for you to take a class if you don't have the prerequisite for it. Or professors also approve time conflict overrides. I always tell students that it's always a good idea to get to know your professor. So what is the role of the student? Go to class, of course, ask lots of questions, and study. You paid lots of money for your education and classes, so get your money's worth. If you know that you will be learning Chapter 4 in the next class, then read it before class. You will get a lot more out of the lecture if you go prepared. Submit your assignments on time. Don't forget that some profs take a percentage off for every day that you are late. Be sure you know their policy and stick to it. If you know that you will be submitting an assignment late because of a personal situation, assignment overload, or any other reason, let your professor know ahead of time. They may be willing to accept your assignment late if they know beforehand. It is your responsibility as a student to schedule regular appointments with your academic advisor, as I mentioned before earlier in this presentation. So don't forget that you have roles and responsibilities too as a student. Do you know how you study? Self-study. If you like a quiet, serene place to study with no one to distract you, then this is definitely the method of studying for you. Kind of like when I was a student. I even wore earplugs in the library. Group study is great when you have problems to figure out, projects to design, or issues to discuss. Do you learn by teaching others? Then group study might be for you. And having a study partner, it's kind of like having some of both. Quiet, yet you are still with somebody else to discuss the problems, project, or design, whatever it is you're working on. Don't know how you learn the best? Try all three and see what you like. Maybe it's a combination of self and group, depending on what you're working on. Let's talk about classes. All Term 1 and 2 classes are the same, whether you're in engineering general or already in a specific major. All students take the same classes. A full load is 5 classes plus any labs that are attached to the class. So essentially, if you are in 5 classes and 4 of them have a lab, then you're essentially in 9 classes. Sometimes you can even have 5 classes with 5 labs, and sometimes a class can even have a lab and a seminar element attached to it. A lab requires just as much time and preparation as a class, sometimes even more. I have had students that tell me that a lab is much more involved than their lecture. And there are usually weekly lab assignments that have to be handed in. Labs have midterms as well as final exams. If you fail a lab, you fail the whole class. A syllabus is your roadmap. Don't lose it. And after you are done with the class, keep it. You may never know if you will need it again. Okay, let's take a closer look at a typical syllabus and the content that they should all have. Your syllabus should include your instructor's contact information and office hours, textbooks that are required, and all assignments and due dates. Grading is always important and what students usually look at first. On the first day, your professor is going to give you a syllabus that looks similar to this. That might be through URCourses or on paper. After your professor gives you that syllabus, he or she technically no longer has to remind you about upcoming dates for assignments, quizzes, or exams. You should put all of those important dates into your calendar so you don't forget them. Set reminders of when assignments are due. I can't tell you enough to organize your time and always be prepared. I'm going to spend a bit of time on this slide to explain to you how our programming works. This is taken from an industrial systems program sheet. Engineering is kind of like building a house. You need a very strong, solid foundation, and those are classes that you would take in Term 1 and 2. You have to finish your first floor before starting the second floor. So you have to finish all of your classes in Term 1 before you do classes in Term 2. And then closer to the end of your degree is the rooftop, and that's where specialized classes are filled. So let's take a look at Term 1. You're all going to take Chemistry 104, Engineering 123, Eng 140, Math 110, and Math 122. If you take a look at Term 2, Math 110 and Engineering 140 from Term 1 are prerequisites to get into classes in Term 2. So you always have to look ahead at what's coming. What classes do you need from Term 1 to get into Term 2? And then if you take a look at Term 3, ENEL 280 has a prerequisite of Math 111, which you would have completed the term before. ENEV 223 has a prerequisite of ENGG 123, which you do in Term 1. ENGG 141 has a prerequisite of 140 and Math 111. Math 217 has 2 prerequisites, and then there's a natural science elective that you can choose whatever class of your liking. Now, going back to Eng 141, you can see that it says may be taken concurrently. That means that you can take Math 111 and Eng 141 at the same time. You do, however, need that Eng 140 before you do 141. So if you have any questions about prerequisites, please always come to an academic advisor for extra advising on that. You always want to plan ahead, always look ahead. What's coming? What classes do I need to move on? And your academic advisor can definitely help you navigate our program templates. There are some classes that don't require prerequisites. For example, in Term 2, CS 110, while the prerequisite is only grade 12 calculus. So that's okay. English 100, no prerequisite is required in Term 2 for that class. And Engineering 100, there's no prerequisite required either. So watch those prerequisites. Our programming, everything is built on everything else. So just like building a house. So here's an example of our 4-4 program. We created this program to give students a little more flexibility. Many students have jobs, some have families, and some of our athletes can only take 3 or 4 classes a semester. And some students just don't want to take a full load. Many students just prefer to take it a little slower. Remember, balance is important. So let's take a look at the 4-4 program. You will see that Term 1 and Term 2 only have 4 classes. Watch those prerequisites. They're still all there, just like our regular program sheet. Then, after your winter Term 2, you will go straight into the spring-summer semester. No breaks. You'll take 3 classes there, and then it's not here on this slide, but you'll go straight into the fall semester. So there are 11 terms rather than 9 terms to complete your degree. And you can jump back into our regular programming if you decide you can handle 4 classes a semester pretty easily and you want to try 5, then no problem. Just let us know and we can help you transition back into the regular programming. So let's talk a little bit more about our programming and prerequisites. You are responsible for having your required prerequisites. Did you fail the class? You have to take appropriate changes to your registration. So let's take that Math 110 and Math 111 for an example. In Term 1 in the fall, you will take Math 110, and then in Term 2, you will do Math 111, which would be in the winter. Before you pass Math 110, you will have to register for Math 111. So then in December, when you finally get your grades back for your Math 110 class and you don't pass, you must drop that Math 111 class immediately and register for another Math 110 class to be taken in the winter semester. Doing Math 110 in the winter is absolutely okay. You will just have to take Math 111 in the spring semester to catch up and ensure that you have all of the prerequisites to get into that Term 3 in the fall. All faculties do prereq checks. We go through everyone's registration to ensure that everyone has the prerequisites for all of the classes that they are registered in. And if you don't, we automatically drop you from the class. Now, you don't want this to happen. Students, sometimes they go into UR courses and notice that the class is no longer there. And that's because they did not have the prerequisite and take their own initiative to drop the class themselves. So it is your responsibility to stay on top of things and to be in charge of your class registrations. So let's talk a little bit about registration and what happens when you fail a course. GPAs, or grade point averages, are always calculated using the most recent grade attained. Failing grades will always be on your transcript. So if you do Math 110 and fail it with a 45%, and then you do it again and pass with a 75%, we will use that 75 to calculate your GPA. That 45% will always be on your transcript, unfortunately. So here's another example of grading. Let's say you pass a physics class with 52%, and you really want to get a higher grade than that. So you try for a second time and get 45%. The GPA that we will use is 45% because it is the most recent grade attained. Then you're going to have to take that physics class for a third time, and you will need special permission from our associate dean to do that. So let's talk a little bit more about failing classes. I know it's not a fun subject, but it is important. If you fail a class, like I said, 2 times, then the third time you will have to request special permission to take that class. Our associate dean signs off on those requests. The third attempt failure may result in an automatic RTD from the faculty. And English 100, if you fail 3 times, you are asked to leave the university for 2 years. A hold prevents you from registration. There are many reasons that a student can have a hold on their account that will prevent them from registering for their classes. Documents. Sometimes students need to submit study permits or high school transcripts. Misconduct. If you are under investigation, then you will definitely not be able to register for the next semester. Seeing an academic advisor. Sometimes students are required to see an academic advisor before they register. This usually happens if you're on probation or you're coming back to engineering from being RTD'd. A financial hold is when you owe the university more than $500. Once you pay that down, then you will be able to register. We can help you figure it out and then get you registered as soon as possible. If you're owing, for example, $350, then you will be allowed to register. Conditions on registration. This might be that you're only allowed to register for 3 classes. When students come back to engineering after being RTD'd, they are usually only allowed to take 3 classes. Students in the ARP program, sometimes an academic advisor is required to register for the student, that the student can't actually register by themselves. So if you can't register and you can't figure it out, please see an academic advisor and we will definitely help you. The university is filled with acronyms, and here are just 2 more, RTD and MW. RTD is required to discontinue, and MW must withdraw. Just remember, 60% is your magic number. You want to stay above 60 throughout your whole academic career. When you're RTD'd, it's for 2 semesters. And the grounds for being RTD'd is failure to meet minimum performance standards, failure to meet faculty or program regulations. University and faculty level action is completed, and you must leave the faculty. You can transfer into another faculty or just leave school for 2 semesters, which I don't really recommend. And after your RTD is finished, you do not automatically get back into engineering. You must write a letter of petition to get back in. The faculty restricted program, you're RTD'd from the faculty, but not the university, and have missed the deadline for transferring to another faculty. So on paper, you're still actually in the Faculty of Engineering, but you can't take engineering classes. You have 1 semester to transfer into another faculty for your 2nd semester of being RTD'd. Probation, you are permitted to continue studies, and to clear probation, you must raise your UGPA to 60% by the time you've completed 8 classes. And if you can't do that, then you are RTD'd. MW, or must withdraw, is when you fail to clear academic probation. Must withdraw for a minimum of 3 full and consecutive terms. You cannot be registered in a certificate course or any other audit for any other class. The ARP, or the Academic Recovery Program, is when you are put on probation, are RTD'd, or must withdraw. This program is offered through Student Services, not engineering. It allows you to stay in the faculty and get assistance from ARP advisors to improve your grades. It has mandatory support workshops, study groups, extra advising sessions. It has very structured, and it has a lot of support and tutoring available for you. There is an extra cost, plus regular tuition and course fees. Being in the ARP, you are only allowed to take 3 classes. They really want you to focus on your coursework and get those grades up so that you can come back into engineering. If you are in the ARP, you must see an academic advisor from that office, not one from the engineering academic advising team. If you are RTD'd or receive a must withdraw, the ARP is an awesome program with many students who are very successful in engineering after they complete the ARP. I want to spend some time talking about academic misconduct since it is so important. Engineering has a duty to adhere to the highest standards of academic and professional integrity. All students and faculty alike must abide by the Code of Ethics of Professional Engineers, which requires engineers to conduct themselves in an honorable and ethical manner, upholding the values of truth, honesty, and trustworthiness. Academic integrity is a bridge to professional ethics. So what is academic misconduct? Academic misconduct includes cheating. For example, using books, notes, diagrams, electronic devices when you're not allowed to, copying work from other people, communicating with others either in an exam room or in the classroom, consulting with other students on a take-home exam, or having another person write the exam for you, not following rules of an exam, or telling somebody else what is on the exam. So for example, if you're given permission to write an exam early, and then you go and tell all of your friends what's on the exam, that's misconduct. Altering answers on an assignment or an exam that has already been returned, and taking an exam out of an exam room. Those are all examples of cheating. So what's plagiarism? Plagiarism is quite simply submitting work of another person, not acknowledging an author or sources of a phrase, a quote, a thought, a code, a formula, or statistics. It is submitting person's work even if cited in the bibliography. And don't forget that this all includes internet material. But did you know that academic misconduct also includes so many other things? Falsifying lab results, padding a bibliography, helping others in the act of academic misconduct, providing false or incomplete information, providing false information to receive deferred exam or a term work. For example, giving medical reports from a doctor that are simply not true just to get out of an exam so that you can do it a week later and have an extra week to study. That's misconduct. Bribing or threatening others to obtain information, stealing someone else's notes, altering or destroying work of others, for example, in a lab, stealing resource materials, for example, cutting articles out of a journal that are in the library, failure to participate in group projects when the final mark depends on everyone's input, submitting a same paper in 2 different classes, and working in a group when you're simply not permitted to do so. The university and the Faculty of Engineering and Applied Science has taken and will continue to take concrete measures to address academic misconduct. The faculty will not tolerate any infractions of academic integrity. Just don't do it. So what happens? The Associate Dean Academic, Dr. DeMontigny, is notified immediately by your professor. The university secretary is also notified. An immediate investigation happens and a hold is put on your account, not allowing you to register for classes. You do have the opportunity to explain the incident. You will be notified of disciplinary action via a formal letter. Penalty is assigned by the Associate Dean, and it is a case-by-case decision. You may appeal the decision within 30 days. So, while the investigation is taking place, an academic hold is placed on your account. The hold remains for 30 days after the letter is sent to you. If you don't appeal the decision, the hold is lifted. But if you appeal the decision, the hold will remain on your account until a final decision is made. Remember, Gina is the academic advisor to see about these issues. So some examples of the penalties that might happen are, of course, reduction of your grade in the course or a 0 credit, definitely a notation in your file, and a grade of XF, which is on your transcript forever. And an XF means academic misconduct. Loss of scholarships and awards, which I have definitely seen happen, and a suspension or expulsion from the class, program, or even the university. Non-academic misconduct also happens on campus. It can be anything from theft, drugs, vandalism, violence, assault, unauthorized or misuse of university facilities, equipment, or services, such as going to the gym when it's closed or going to a lab that you are not authorized to use. It can be not complying with university officials, for example, security officers. Any conduct which harms or threatens to harm the university, its faculty, staff, students, guests, programs, and activities. Any activity that threatens the safety or well-being of all on the campus. It can also be the falsification of university records or improper or fraudulent purposes. Remember that you are also responsible while you are on co-op or doing your internship as well. The VP of Student Affairs is responsible for all non-academic incidences, not the Faculty of Engineering. Non-academic misconduct. So what happens? After an investigation procedure is complete, which may take a while, there are several things that can happen depending on the severity of the case. Loss of tuition fees. Restitution for damage. You might have to pay for damages that have been caused to a lab or facilities or the gym or any residences. Loss of or repayment of a scholarship or awards. Probation, being RTD'd or MW'd. You might be suspended from school for a given time or indefinitely, depending on the severity of the misconduct. Eviction of residences. If the misconduct happened in a residence, for example, you might not ever be able to go back again. Restriction of access to services and facilities. You might not ever be able to go back to the pool or be restricted from going to the OWL for 6 months, for example. You might not be able to go to a lab for the rest of the semester. And if you can't get into the lab, you can't pass the class. Expulsion from the co-op program or termination from an internship or practicum. So there are several different things that could happen if non-academic misconduct had happened. Emergencies happen. Private information may be different things. It can be as simple as your name, address, phone number, age, gender, but it can also be your time schedule, when you are taking that Bio 150 class or when you're in Math 110. Definitely grades are private information, and your financial account information is also very private. Nobody needs to know. We cannot give any information, what is considered to be private, to anyone. Not your mom, not your dad, not your brothers or sisters. Please do not have your parents call me on your behalf. Please don't have them make an appointment for you. Email me yourself. Don't get your mom to do it. You're an adult now. You're not in high school anymore. Parents are always welcome to any advising session with me as long as they have your permission. Selecting a major. We have 3 deadlines when students can apply for their major: December the 1st, April 1st, and August the 1st. First-year students who stay on track and take Engineering 100, 123, 140, and English 100, plus any 4 other classes in their Term 1 and Term 2, can submit their major declaration form as early as April the 1st. So if you apply before April 1st deadline, then we will wait until your final grades from the winter semester are posted, and then you will receive a letter stating what major you are in. After that, you may have to adjust your fall classes depending on what you registered for. Sometimes no readjustment is required. So how do you choose a major? Well, definitely speak with your professors. Speak with senior students. Go down to the RESS lounge and talk with those senior students who have been through 3 years and maybe a co-op or an internship. Talk to the career counselor and people in your field. Maybe you have a cousin or aunts and uncles or your mom or dad who is already an engineering professional. Also, go online and see what's out there. what kind of jobs you can get with an industrial systems engineering degree. Allocations are based on your PGPA and space desired in a program. Every cohort and every semester is different. There is no specific grade that will get you in. Many times students email me and ask, what grade do I need to get into ISE? And as long as you have a 60%, you're okay. Co-op is actually a concept pioneered in Western Canada by this faculty. It is an integrated approach to higher education that enables strongly motivated students to combine a full academic program with practical work experience in the engineering field. This is accomplished by having academic terms on campus with work terms throughout your academic career here with us. There are many benefits to co-op. Co-op provides a real work look at various industries and occupations and presents a means for students to work their way through university. Yes, there is definitely a great financial benefit. So how does it work? Students are required to complete 4 four-month work terms in industry, alternating with in-class semesters. They start their first work term midway through their second year. Students achieve a total of 16 months of work experience. The program expands the normal 4-year engineering program to 5 years, with course scheduling structured to accommodate the students' work terms. This means the school operates year-round, and students typically take spring and summer as well as the traditional fall and winter semesters. Qualifications are that you must be registered in at least 12 credit hours, have completed or been given credit for no less than 27 and no more than 63 credit hours towards your degree. Students are expected to have successfully completed the first 3 terms before going on a first work term and have a PGPA of at least 60%. For students interested in having a single work term, the internship program enables students to undertake a 12 or 16-month work term with a single employer after term 7. Applications are due 6 months before the intended placement. So, what do you need to apply? Well, again, you need to be registered in at least 12 credit hours. You must have completed no less than 72 and no more than 102 credit hours. You are expected to have successfully completed academic terms 1 through 7, and there's that PGPA again of 60%. You can't be in the co-op program and the internship program at the same time, so you must have to withdraw from the co-op program if you were in that previously. These are some of the employers that our students have had previously, both with co-op and internship: Mosaic, Evraz, Saskatchewan Ministry of Energy and Resources, Crescent Point, SaskTel, Sask Power, and the Saskatchewan Ministry of Highways and Infrastructure. PlacePro is where to go to find all of those jobs. Are you stuck in that Chemistry 104 class or just can't get those formulas in Math 217? There are several outlets for tutoring on campus. The math department has tutors. You simply request a tutor online and the tutor will contact you within 12 hours. You will make an appointment that is convenient for you both. See their website on how to find your tutor for math. The Global Learning Center is specifically for international students only. You have to book an appointment online. There are also many tutoring group sessions available. Classes such as math, economics, statistics, and CS are covered. The Student Success Center offers English and math tutoring. You have to book an appointment through their website and book early because spots fill quickly. You can find the tutor registry on the Student Success Center website. All subjects are offered. Basically, you go shopping for the subject that you need help with. A list of tutors will show up, and you can scroll down the list and choose the tutor that you feel will be the best match for you. These tutors offer their services at varying rates. Watch out, because cost per session will differ. The University of Regina makes your mental health